Hi, this is Cece Clark, and I'm here to show you a flash fiction story I wrote for my writing class. Yeah. I'm very excited to share this with you. It's, I think, my favorite thing I've written so far. Just a lot of fun to write. A lot of passion went into that. I was able to combine my research love of modern warfare with my creative love of telling queer stories, fiction or nonfiction. So this is a little story I came up with a couple months ago as a World War II story. Then as I was writing it, I figured it fit better in the late 1960s, early 1970s, in which the setting became just after the Vietnam War, just after the soldier was sent home. I wrote this while kind of collaborating with some other people, not in the writing sense, but like shooting ideas, shooting back and forth, having them read little snippets and seeing what they think. So very excited to show this to you. Without further ado, here is Sunflower Shadows. The painting sat untouched in the living room, unfinished. Splotches of white dotted the canvas, the colors more blobs than pictures, the detailing and shading never even begun. The war had taken many things from him. His leg, his ability to sleep at night, half his stomach. Those were things he could live without. Things that he could deal with losing. But the war also took the painter, and took his love. And that was the most devastating loss of all. His leg he could live without. There were prosthetics and canes and wheelchairs. The sleep he could manage, taking cat naps throughout the day, ending them just in time to avoid the nightmares. His stomach, well, he still had half. There was medication and whatever alternatives the VA could muster up. He thought of the sudden lack of appetite as some kind of sick weight loss program. But to the painter, his sunflower boy was irreplaceable. There would never be another like him. No one to hold his heart and fill his days with sunshine. No one to bring color into his dull life, to fill his days with a sacred, unconditional love. His sunflower boy had been his anchor, his life, the light to his gloominess. But the war took him too. His world was now cast in shadow. A room once filled with bright and colorful paintings filled with gray. Walls now barren, the canvases leaning against the wall, backs turned to the rest of the room. But he couldn't bring himself to touch the canvas still on its easel, the last work of his love, left unfinished and empty. He had stared at the painting long enough to drive him insane the first few days he got back. He'd have to force himself away to eat. Staring at the painting meant he didn't have to close his eyes, because that would bring him right back to that moment. Walking with his sunflower boy through the green Vietnamese jungle. He had been flanking him, eyes watching the trees, feet burning in his boots. His sunflower boy was talking quietly, trying to ease the tension. They were making their way back from scouting the trail ahead, like they had done so many times before. But this was not like those times, because this time there was a loud explosion cutting off the next word. The heat and pain and intense noise as he had been knocked to the side. His leg gone. His love gone. His light gone. There had barely been anything left to bury. The painter wasn't invited to the funeral, the sunflower boy's family taking control. Despite living with him for years, creating with him, loving him for years, the boy's family, who had kicked him out in his teens and not spoken to him since, believed that this man was not important enough to their son to attend his funeral, to have a say in how his love should be buried. So he was laid to rest with roses, a proper veteran's funeral, and never a chance to say goodbye. His light had gone out. There was no longer any joy in the painter's soul. Like the room, he had once been filled with color and brightness and music, all given to him by his sunflower boy from the gloomy life he had before. His eyes drift to the piano in the corner, the piano that usually held a vase of sunflowers. Now, nothing but stems. The piano where his love would sit and play as he painted. Together, they had taken their small, dull, ancient apartment and turned it into a haven of creativity and life. Now, only the shadows remain. The painter surveyed the room once more, leaning against his crutch for support. He thought back to a time before the war, before the draft, before the hell he had trudged through and somehow, by sheer luck, had made it to the other side. He thought back to college where he had met his sunflower boy in an agriculture class, where they had shared late nights studying and even later nights talking and creating. He found that when this boy played piano, it sounded like what his heart felt. His sunflower boy told him that his paintings reminded him of the songs. The rainy afternoons in the library, the picnics by the pier, the hikes down by the river where they'd swim if the temperature was right. An entire lifetime of love, all experienced before their 25th birthdays. In another world, they could have been married, even if it had to be illegally. His sunflower boy could play swing clubs and they could sell his art for pennies to get by. They would grow old together, sit in the small balcony of their apartment and watch the sunset, dance to the record player in their living room, drink coffee in the kitchen together every morning, live a long, happy life together. But Uncle Sam called, and at the end of the battle, only one of them was left standing. The painter turned his eyes to the unfinished painting again. The yellows of sunflowers, the tans of skin, browns of hair, all yet to be defined. He thought back to the warmth of his smile and swore he could almost hear music fill the air. The war had taken his love from him. It had taken any hope of the life he wanted. It had taken his life. But that light was given to him by his sunflower boy, his love. And by God, was he going to take it back. He made his way to the canvas. He was going to make damn sure this war would not take anything else from him. He took a deep breath, hesitating. His eyes found where the eyes of the painting should be, listening to the piano music in his head. Shakily, he picked up the brush. Thank you for listening. That was my story. I apologize for any background noise. It started to rain as soon as I filmed, and I'm in my car so the AC is on because it is really hot here. But thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.